Absolutely understand it. From that moment to this moment, though, I don't think I've ever consciously tried to manipulate God. I quit playing games with God. I quit doing that. Anything that anybody could teach me, anything that I could stow up in my mind, ain't got one thing to do with God's creation. That's just something going on in Philip Rowland's head looking at God. And I can say it's about all kinds of things. Or you can tell me it's about all kinds of things. But I know, I got a little feeling that whatever we talk about, or how we learn it, or however we celebrate, adore it, or whatever we do to it, ain't going to do one thing about it. It's still God's creation. We still have to be part of it. And the best I think we can do about it is experience it. And this program is helping me to do that. Very simple. And that's the first time that I got Jesus Christ also. That had Jesus Christ in another place. But at that moment I said, God, what a dynamite God that is. You know, I really got it then. I said, wow. What the hell he was talking about? When I was looking at it differently, it was hard. So, a power greater than myself could restore me to sanity. I don't understand the power. I am not trying to manipulate the power. As I live in the 11th step of AA, I'm being restored to sanity. I'm reprogramming lies with truth. Lies with truth. Lies. That's going to be an ongoing thing that's going to happen in my life. But it's happening. It's really happening in my life. And for the first time, I was able to take the third step from that place. See, all that intellectual talk I'd done about the third step, and I've been in Alcoholics Anonymous meetings in 46 states, and I guarantee in every single one of them, in some IHOP or some Waffle House or some Shoney's somewhere, I sat down and had some long intellectual discussion about the third step of AA. Because it's a juicy step, I used to think. Made a decision to turn my will and my life over to the care of God as you understand Him. Can you imagine? Isn't that heavy? I mean, that's something, isn't it? Can you imagine, though, a man like me deciding to turn his will and his life over to God and meaning it, and actually meaning it? So I meant that. I decided to turn my will and my life over to the care of God, and I meant it with all my heart. To this day, I've never decided not to do that. I have people in the AA say, ooh, honey, I turn it over and I take it back every day. And they always say, ooh, God, you never do that all the time. And you know, and then they say, well, you need to be getting into your third step and do your third step and all, as if that's going to be something. I took the third step and it felt like somebody took a weight off my back or a car off my head or something like that. We always, do it like that. But I'm not allowed to talk about it. Now I think about it, I don't know what in the world I said. I swear I don't know what I said about it, because there ain't nothing to say about it. See, if I decide to do that, I don't. See, if I decide to turn my will and my life over to the care of God, I don't decide to do that. I decided to do that. Now the tricky part comes. Doing that. Deciding to do that and doing that, that's a different thing altogether. A lot of people think it comes through reading 2 or 3 spiritual books. I mean, that's got to be real popular in AA now. They got all kinds of roads less traveled. What's the other one about the Lord's Prayer? The Sermon on the Mount. And I guess it's good and all that. But a lot of people think reading those books is what's going to cause that to happen. Well, that ain't how I did it that time. I tried all them other time. I read a ton of books, spiritual religious books that took the third step. But when I took it this time, what I did, I didn't read nothing. Not anything. What I did was, I decided to turn my will and my life over to the care of God as I understand Him. Then I took the 4th step. Then I took the 5th step. Then I took the 6th step, and the 7th step, and the 8th step, and the 9th step. And when I'd taken those steps, I got rid of enough of my will and my life, or the idea of me, that I experienced a conscious contact with God in the 11th step. Just exactly like they said it would happen. It's just absolutely that simple. There is no more to it. These steps are designed to get your will and your life out of the way, because that's just an illusion and an idea at best. Anyway, that you experience a conscious contact with God. Isn't that simple? That is so simple that I couldn't have done that. Now, right here is what I call the confidence of sobriety. Comes in the 11th step. Sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understand Him praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. If the 12th step is my goal in life, to have a spiritual awakening, then surely to God, the purpose of my life on this earth is the 11th step. This is the purpose. This is the middle of the whole. This is what it's about. Seeking through prayer and meditation to improve my conscious contact with God. Not getting one, improving one. See, I experienced the conscious contact with God by getting out of the way. Because that's the way it's always been anyway. Now, and this is also where we address the will of God, and it is the only place that we address the will of God in all of AA. You never, ever will ever hear or see anything in AA language about the will of God but one place. So anything else you do about the will of God in AA, you dreamed up yourself. Just dreamed it up in your mind. You can do that if you want. But I invite you to keep it simple like this. Keep it right here. Don't get into thinking you swap your will for God's will in the third step. You hear people in AA say that. That ain't what this is about. Don't do that. You leave that alone. You take these steps, and then we'll get into the will of God. Seeking through prayer and meditation to improve my conscious contact with God, this is where the confidence of sobriety is about. Consciousness. Consciousness is looking or being able to see what you look at. Simply that. When you see something, not the way Mom and Daddy says it is, but the way it is. That's what a conscious person can do. A conscious person can see what they're looking at. A conscious person can also get out of his soap opera. Not out of it, but get above it. See, most of our lives are run by our soap opera. I mean, we just think that all we got to do, if we can be successful at dealing with soap operas, we're going to be happy. Well, that ain't going to happen to us. We're going to leave here with an aftercare plan. You may follow the aftercare plan, 90 meetings in 90 days. You may go to a halfway house. You may do everything we've said, and you're standing on the front porch one afternoon, and a garbage truck runs over your little girl. Right in front of yours. You're just standing out of a clear blue sky, a little girl in the yard playing, and a garbage truck just runs right over. Oh, my God. Oh, my. What have I done? I mean, what, is God mad at me, my Lord? Or whatever. You might lose your job. You might come home this afternoon, the guy down the street ran off with your wife, and stole your money or whatever. And these things happen to us. I mean, get real clear. Just because you start drinking alcohol and you go into meetings, don't think that the world's going to stop and pay attention to that. We could cut her some slack today because, she's doing AA and doing it. That ain't going to happen. The world's going to go right on, and there's going to be all kind of stressful things coming up. I'm an idealist. And I don't like a lot of things about the world. I believe in 1985 there's no reason to have a soldier or a hungry baby on this earth. Not one. There is absolutely no reason for that. It's my fault. And the reasons they give for having soldiers and hungry babies, that's crazy and stupider than it being there. There is no reason for that. That's foolishness. And people say, but guess what? Y'all notice how many soldiers and hungry babies we got on the earth? We got tons of them, man. I ain't kidding. And then reminding us about it every day on TV, about all the people who are starving to death. So you would think an idealist like me couldn't be happy in that situation. But I am. And I don't like it, but I am. And I don't like what goes on in a lot of things, but I am. But I can stay pretty happy. And that's what consciousness is about. That I don't have to get drunk, because if I don't like the way things are. So I probably ain't going to get no Social Security. I can get crazy with that. I've been working for Social Security since I was 16 years old. But I ain't nuts. Man, I know there ain't going to be no money left over when I get there. I ain't that crazy. We don't eat the golden goose, let alone the eggs. I'm telling you. So, I ain't going to like all that. But my consciousness is going to allow me to be in that and be all right with it. Not liking it and still have joy and love in my life. And I don't need to drink. See, it would be just as hard for me to drink from here as it was not for me to drink before. Now, y'all need to get this. This is what the attitude toward life is all about. I'm one drink away from a drunk like any alcoholic. But in order for Philip Rowland to walk in a liquor store and buy a bottle of liquor and drink that liquor, I have to change my attitude back toward myself and life. You see what I'm saying? I have to change it back the way I got it there before. And this is where you want to be. This is where the confidence of your sobriety is going to come from. It's going to come from right here. And seeking through prayer and meditation, not to maintain, Y'all get this too now. There is no maintenance steps in Alcoholics Anonymous. Anybody that says that to you lies. There's no such thing as that. You might hear that over and over in AA. There's no such thing as that. We don't have any. It ain't about maintaining, it's about improving. Improving conscious contact with God. That's important because you're going to forget that. I know I did not long ago. I forgot that completely. And I got into maintaining. So it's about improving. Now we talk about the will of God. Praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. That is the most profound spiritual statement I've ever seen in my life. I've never seen it anywhere else. I have seen everything on this board and other spiritual and religious disciplines except that. That's the only place I've ever seen that. I've never seen a religion or spiritual discipline that made that statement. Praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. Not does that only tell you what to pray for, it tells you what not to pray for. I've been taught all my life to pray to have God's will directed into my life. I did not know another way to pray. And guess what? If I'm not conscious, I still can't pray that way. Praying only for knowledge is for conscious people. Make no mistake about that. That's the mistake. And to this day, if I lose my consciousness from something, if I'm having to take the 10th step and clear up something, I can't pray only for the knowledge of the will of God. I am not present enough to do that. But when I'm present, I can. Pray only for the... See, that's no bargaining with God. That ain't cutting no deals with God. That ain't playing games with God. That ain't manipulating God. That's praying only for the knowledge of the will of God for us. At that moment, I knew absolutely that there was never, ever, and never would be individual will of God for people. I knew that completely. That was the time that I had an experience of Jesus Christ and Buddha. I knew right then what they were talking about. I said, wow. You know, I thought it was all about stuff we learn and how to do stuff. And then at that moment, at that moment of consciousness, I said, wow, they were just sharing their experience with us. No wonder they didn't write nothing down. See, that always puzzled me why Jesus and Buddha influenced more people on the earth spiritually, religiously than everybody else put together and never wrote their names. Nobody has ever seen anything that they wrote. And I knew at that moment why. They didn't have nothing to write down. They didn't leave us no list of stuff or anything like that. They were sharing experience with us. Now, I could have never got that until I got out of the way. So it had to be an experience. It couldn't be something I learned or read or you taught me. I had to do this stuff to get here, and when I had the experience, it was the only thing it could be. And I knew then that I never ever could have prayed any other way. I was just pretending anyway. When it says praying only for the knowledge of the will of God. But all the years I've been in AA and looked at that, that had no meaning to me. That was just kind of a vague thing to me. And it still would be had I not had this experience. Praying only for the knowledge of the will of God now, I know, is the only thing I could have prayed for anyway. Anything else, I was just playing a game. But I couldn't do that until I got in. And now what is that like, praying only for the knowledge of the will of God? That's letting go. See, the knowledge of the will of God for us. Just the knowledge. I think about it like, that when I was born, they handed me a rock, they stood me on the edge of a cliff, and they kicked me off. And I spent all my life holding on to the rock and trying to get up on the cliff. But then I let go. I let the rock go and I let the cliff go. And I let go. I let go. And that's when power showed up in my life. That's when I had some preference in my life. That's when I started living out of my life the way I wanted to live, not dragged through life by my programming. What I mean, I'll tell you one little short story, and it's about the guy pulling the toy. You pull the toy with a little string, and the toy says, jump, 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 jump. And you drop the string, the toy stops. You pick the string up like that, and the toy does that again. I had lived my entire life like that. I had been drugged through my life by my programming. And all the people that we know practically are going to live that way and die that way. No preference. Consciousness helped me get rid of the string. Then I became a little bit involved in my life. I showed up in my life. I had some preferences in my life. I didn't have to do all these things because of all this stuff that had been jammed in my head. I became a conscious man, a free man, emotionally and spiritually a free man. And that's where the power came through. I had energy. I became, all of a sudden, I looked like I became more energetic. But I didn't. I just got the blocks out of the way and the energy was available to me. It's always been here. I mean, I didn't just go out and find out how to get energy. I just started using the energy that was here. And so will you. People who do this always do that. You can always tell when people are involved in real spiritual disciplines, their energy level goes up. You let me right now get screwed around in my head, I shut down. And so do you. I shut down. When I'm here, I'm open. And I don't know how far we can take this. I really don't. But praying only for the knowledge of the will of God is not something that you need to try to do today. Don't go back over there and try to do that. You just concentrate on taking these steps to have a spiritual awakening. The consciousness will come. And then you'll find yourself, you'll all of a sudden see that that's the only way to pray. You'll say, God, this is so simple. It is so simple. And it is really that simple. So I'm going to close by describing to you what a spiritual awakening is like and how it happened, and what I use a little illustration. When I was in Sausalito, and in Sausalito is a little place in San Francisco Bay, and I was living on a houseboat. Y'all remember the song Otis Redding used to wrote, said, on the dock of the bay? But I lived on that dock right there. And they used to show me where he'd go up and down and all. Anyway, I haven't been into all that. But anyway, I would go out there and I'd look, and you could hardly ever see the Golden Gate Bridge. I mean, you go out there and sometimes you can see the shadow of it and all being fog, but you can see the outline behind the fog. I have seen it half in two. Half bridge, half fog. One day I walked down there. It was a bright day, and the breeze had blew all the clouds out. And there sat the Golden Gate Bridge in its entirety. Now, it had always been sitting there, but when I cleared up, I could see it. And that's what I like in a spiritual awakening. This magnificence of God's creation has always been here. All I had to do was get out of the way and experience it. And spirituality is merely a way of looking at things. Consciousness allows me to see what I'm looking at. And that's simply all, that my life's about. And this is just an invitation to you. This will work for everybody here. So lock into that. And I'll be here for a couple of days this week, so if I can talk to anybody on Monday or Tuesday, you stop me and talk to me, and I'll be glad to talk to you about the steps or anything else I can help you with. Y'all have a nice weekend.